Good morning. Happy Thursday. I thought I would come on real quick before I start work and do another video about a blog post. I mentioned in the previous video that I'm going to try to get through all of the reading of the blog posts that I had made several years back and then just do a follow-up video kind of discussing more in detail about what I was experiencing, in that moment. So, good morning. It's a little cold here in Florida. Well, cold for Floridians. I think it's 42. So I have a little London fog Earl Grey tea with some steamed milk, which I love, from our um, local little coffee truck in town that I just love and adore. So having that this morning and getting ready for a busy work day. So I'm going to read this blog post. Again, it does not give me the days that I wrote that. It doesn't give me a date. I know this was probably 10 years ago that I tried to start this blog post. So anyway, this title of this post was Stinky Girl, and I did not reread these ahead of time. So I'm remembering, these as I'm reading them to you. So we'll see what I was thinking this day. But anyway, this one was called Stinky Girl. And it says, I remember coming home from the hospital after having Hayden, my first son, and being in a fog. I mean, here's this little tiny human I have to try and keep alive. I wish I could say that I had all those magical feelings towards my baby, but I didn't. I felt ashamed that I didn't instantly feel this overwhelming joy. Instead, I just felt overwhelmed. Fast forward 3 days later, my husband realized I had not showered since we came home from the hospital. I just couldn't. Even washing my hair seemed like such a chore. Seriously, looking back, I can't even imagine what I smelled like. Benjamin, my husband, physically had to put me in the shower, bathe me, wash my hair. It was exhausting. I would just sit and cry all day, thinking my son and husband would be better off without me. I just wanted to run away. I will continue to talk more about those first few days that turned into weeks and turned into months. I just want you to know, if you are where I was, get help. Talk to other moms, talk with your doctor, build a support system, and please do not be afraid to ask for help. And shower. Peace and love, Liam. So, yeah, I do remember that even taking a shower was, it was overwhelming. Just the physical exhaustion that I was experiencing, recovering from a C-section, not sleeping with a newborn, and then dealing with the postpartum depression on top of that, um, just made everyday tasks seem unbearable. And showering was one of those. I just didn't have the energy to do it. And I had not even realized, I guess, that I had not been showering. Like I wasn't even thinking about that. And when I think about it now, I'm like, yeah, I probably was pretty gross because, all the things that go along, whether you have a C-section or a vaginal delivery, things that you're going through physically, if you know what I mean, after having a baby. And I'm like, how did I not bathe? But just the thought of that seemed overwhelming. So I think that was probably one of the first moments that my husband probably realized that something was wrong because I was, you know, um, I showered twice a day. I loved putting on my girly lotions and skincare. And, I've always loved that stuff. And I just wasn't doing any of that, wasn't even bathing. So I think that was probably his first moment to say, okay, something is wrong here. Something's not right. And we need to do something, about that. Um, so I would encourage you that if you right now are in that moment where showering feels exhausting or making a cup of coffee seems exhausting, the small chores that seem overwhelming, ask for help. I really wish looking back, I would not have felt that shame. I wish I would have said, to my family, I'm not doing well and I need help. I need somebody to come spend some nights with me. My husband didn't help too much at nights with Hayden. He was working two jobs at the time that we had Hayden. I was in nursing school, and I had to take a pause on finishing my last semester because I had the C-section and I couldn't go, right back into finishing my last semester. And he had been working two jobs to put me through nursing school so I could focus on that full time and not work. And so um, he needed his sleep. I mean, he would get off one job at 3 o'clock, go to the next one till, you know, um, he would get to his second job at 4 o'clock. He would get off at 11, get home at 11:30, and then back up and at his daytime job at 7 a.m. So, he helped as much as he could, but I really wish I would have said to a friend or a family member, listen, I'm struggling, and I need help, and I need help at nighttime because at nighttime were my darkest days because when the sun started to set, I started to go into a panic because I knew I was going to be alone. He needed his rest, right? And so I had a bassinet that stayed next to our couch in our living room, and that's where him and I slept. And my husband was able to go into our bedroom, close the door, and get the rest that he needed. And I would start to panic because I knew I was fixing to be alone through the night. And what I realized is when you have a baby, there's people that come during the day that are like, oh, let me hold the baby, let me visit, but at nighttime, that doesn't happen so much, and I think we need to feel okay saying, listen, nights are scary and they're hard and I'm tired and I'm not doing well and I need, even if it was just company at night, to help me. I was taking care of Hayden. Again, I said in the last video, I wasn't neglecting him going through postpartum depression. I was neglecting myself. And I just wish I would not have felt the shame. And I think that's kind of what motivates me wanting to get my story out there. However, that ends up being, whether it's, continuing to post videos on YouTube or whatever comes up to be able to share, my experience. And because I know so many other moms go through the shame. I mentioned in there that I didn't have that bond when I had Hayden. And I think partly that was because those first few days, we did not have that interaction. I could not hold him. I was able to touch his hand the second day. They let me put my hand in the oxygen bubble, so I was able to touch his little fingers. But there wasn't that skin to skin that I really believe is so important when you give birth for you to be able to develop and continue to develop that connection that you have with your baby. And so I struggled with that and the guilt that I had, with that. And I was doing my best at the time. I mean, I really was. He was fed, he was cleaned. I read to him. I played, classical music, and you know, I did all the mother things. The emotional connection was not there for him because I was not emotionally well. I just wasn't. So I wish looking back, I would have been honest. So I would encourage you today that if you know somebody that has had a newborn, check in with them. They don't necessarily have to be diagnosed with postpartum depression, but just check in with them and say, hey, I'm thinking about you. Let me bring a meal over that you don't have to worry about cooking today. Give them some, products that, might be delicious to them, a new bubble bath or, a new lotion that just smells good and kind of, just makes you feel pretty and put together, even when you're probably not putting yourself together. I don't think I wore makeup probably the first year I had Hayden, and I love playing with makeup and, doing that kind of stuff. So, um, just reach out to the new moms, hey, I know nights are probably hard. Can I come spend a few hours, at nighttime and give you some rest? Even if they have a spouse, or a partner, and they still have to go on, working, even if we're on maternity leave, the dads, have to keep going too. So, reach out and, see if you can help at nighttime. I mean, that was just really kind of my darkest times, was because I knew I was fixing to be alone, and the sun would start to set and I would go into a panic because I didn't want to be by myself. And Hayden was also a very hungry baby. I mean, he wanted to eat every hour and a half. He wanted to eat. So there was not a lot of rest really the first 6 months with him. And also being that first time mom, I wanted to do all the things right as far as taking care of him. And my mom kept saying, put a little rice cereal in his milk and that'll sustain him a little bit. I'm like, no, the books and, all the videos, and said, they can't have that, until I think it was a year old. I don't remember off the top of my head, but anyway, I'm like, no, I can't do that. And the, pediatricians say, no, don't do that. And she's like, I'm telling you, you will get a little bit more rest and he will be less fussy. He's hungry. That's why he's fussy. That's why he's getting up all the time. He's not satisfied. And, I just remember trying that. I don't remember exactly how old he was, but she went and got some cereal and made him a bottle and put that, in there. And I think he slept like 3 hours. And I was like, okay, pediatrician, whatever. He's eating it and he's keeping it down. And he's giving me, 3 hours of rest. So I'm going to go with that. So anyway, again, I just wanted to share another blog post. I'll try to do another car pickup line talk about some of the products that I'm currently using that kind of help with my mental health. I also want to say, yes, I had postpartum depression with both of my pregnancies. In saying that, I have also struggled with depression outside of pregnancy. And it's something that I will probably have to manage the rest of my life. I have a great support system now. I have a wonderful healthcare provider that I love. That is, she's been treating me for probably 15 years. She knows that when things change, I go into a little funk. She just knows me so well. Her name is Marla. Marla, if you ever watch this video, I love you and thank you. I have a great support system and a wonderful friend that I know that I can go to. Kimmy, if you watch this, I love you. But it's just building that support system that I was afraid to do back then. So in talking about postpartum depression, it is something that I struggle with, always. I have to be mindful of my moods. I have to be mindful of my mental health. I have to make sure that I'm communicating with my husband. Hey, I'm feeling a little down today. I've dealt with this long enough that I know when I'm fixing to struggle or have a hard time, and we try to get ahead of it. So I was predisposed to having postpartum depression because I had struggled before with depression. So I did want to put that out there. It's not just, I don't just deal with it around, my two pregnancies. It's my mental health is something that I have had to develop some coping tools, some things that I have put in place to kind of help me check in with myself, check in with my husband, check in with my healthcare provider when things just don't feel right. So again, I hope everyone is doing well today. Again, I'm having a little London fog this morning, and like I said, it's a beautiful day, but for Floridians, 40 degrees is a little too cold for us. But I hope everyone has a wonderful day. Um, Prayers to you. Again, reach out to someone that you know that has just had a baby, even if they haven't talked about, postpartum depression. All new moms deserve a little extra love and attention. And even the dads, they are going through a transition too. So, again, hope you're doing well. Try to do a car pickup line and talk about some things that I'm loving right now. But peace and love. Have a great day.